What's up, guys? Just here back channel. Tonight I'll be doing review for Aew Dynamite. So let's get tuned in with MJF and Heyman at Page go face to face and stuff. So with their sounds inside Page, all the stuff goes to cowboy shit and stuff. Advertising damage music begins on the mic first. Okay, so anyways, Freeman calls Heyman Seabiscuit and began writing him down, including a mention of how he lost the title the first time he defended it. Page certainly points out to Freeman that the Seabiscuit story ends with that horse winning. Yeah, it's true. I've seen it before a long time ago. Heyman then tells MJF that if he's not here to fight or execute that contract for a world title shot to go home and admit he doesn't have the stomach, MJF demands a mic that Page hasn't touched. Telling the crowd to shut up. He says that good and bad are subjective. But MJF isn't the problem. Heyman Page is. MJF then runs Page down over the fact that fans act like he's an fallible god. MJF learned from an early date that all-powerful God can't be all good, and neither is Heyman. Before telling the world champ, he's not a god. He's a weak-minded, depressed, alcoholic little boy. MJF doesn't have a problem with being called the devil, as he rather had that be paraded around to be a phony, false idol like Page. MJF believes that he's real before saying to take back that what's in the world title, anyways, and take the wolf's sheep clothing off Page. He ends up by saying he's going to crucify everyone's God. Page says he understands the point he's trying to make, but MJF doesn't seem to understand that no one knows Adam's fault more than he does. So might look past his mistakes, but he won't. He will own up to them. He then tells MJF that he keeps acting like he has a match at Forbidden Door. And he says what he has, however, is a contract that he can execute. MJF says he's a day one guy in AEW, so he should know what AEW is going to be all in. So do it. He continues to needle Freeman, calling him a coward, and this riles Maxine out to announce he's executing his contract for a match at Forbidden Door. The realization sets in quick as the fans mock him for his decision, and Heyman says, "I'll see you at Forbidden Door, dumbass." Heyman's music hits as he leaves the ring, and MJF kicks the ropes out of anger and frustration to it, and the explosive opening segment. All right, John Moxley, you have first match coming up with John Moxley versus Kevin Knight. Be a patch of errors and stuff. The rise where music hits and comes on. Bring out Jet. All right. Anyways, the bell sounds and we're officially off running this one. We see an earlier flurry by Knight is caught up by Mox, who beats Knight down to the mat before looking for a Texas cloverleaf. Knight breaks free, sending Mox through the ropes to the outside. Mox catches Knight on the outside, sending him to the barricade for a few punches before sending Kevin into an announce table. He heads to the ring at just long enough to break the ref's count. As Bailey checks on Knight, Kevin starts to fight back. Mox catches him for a scoop, only for Knight to evade being sent into the ring steps. He jumps onto the apron for a missile drop kick that sends Mox to the floor before sending him back into the ring. Mox with an eye gouge to slow things down, but Knight sends him out onto the elevated ramp before landing a dive. We see some mounted punches by Knight, and before Mox manages to break away, he uses the steps to get off the ramp, and Kevin launches off the ramp only to be sent crashing to the floor by Mox, who sits on the apron to watch the ref check on Knight. On that note, show gears and to members closure break as the action continues. When the show returns, we see Knight finally manage to break free of Mox's grip to fight back, but the former world champ goes right back after him. Come on, stupid thing. Fuck. Anyways, this leads to the pair of trading strikes until Mox takes a bite out of Kevin to bring it to an end, something that Knight offers in retaliation before dropping Mox to the canvas for a splash and a near fall. He sends Mox to the corner. Now, with the former champ trying to fight back, Knight connects with a superplex to get a 2 count before Mox kicks out. Mox gets to his feet as Knight goes back after him, with Mox taking him down with the DDT. A gotch style pile driver gets a reverse by Kevin for a 2 count, and Knight takes Mox back down for another 2. The fight spills out of the ring before Mox heads back in, with Yuta intervening only to get laid out by Knight, who gets caught by the former champ. Knight tries to fight back for a splash, but lands on the knees of Mox, who locks a tight submission in and squeezes until Knight goes out. So winner is John Moxley. All right. Once the match wraps up, come on. Once the match wraps up, John Moxley is joined by the Dead Riders for a post-match beatdown of Knight. Speedball Mike Bailey tries to make the save, but the numbers game is too much for Jesse. That's however until Darby Allin's music hits. Darby Allin rushes to the scene with a body bag and a skateboard. The distraction as he comes down is enough for Jesse to get some revenge, clearing out the ring. Sans Yuta Sans who gets laid out by Darby with a skateboard. He puts Yuta in the body bag. Whatever he has planned doesn't pan out. However, as Cody Casanova stops him from hitting a coffin drum before pulling Weir out of the bag, Casanova goes after Allen, now putting him into that very same bag to the shocking off from the crowd. He then zips it up, hoisting Darby on the shoulders and the body bag before proceeding to hit his trademark airplane spin like that. The Dead Riders chaos continues until out of nowhere, Will Ospreay appears at ringside from the crowd. Ospreay ferociously fights off the group until they retreat. Ospreay then gets in the ring and mentions if Mox doesn't want Darby one-on-one, he can get his friends. Ospreay will get his, and then they can have an unsanctioned lights-out steel cage match at AEW and JPW Forbidden Door London. So, yeah. Alright, next match coming up is second match is Mercedes Moné, Declan, Sky Blue versus Alex Winsler, Queen Amanda, Will Nightingale. Theme messed up, blah blah. When show returns, where's the entrance? Way. Alright, anyways, we're fishing off with the bell. Starts Sky and Winsler kick things off for respective teams with Blue breaking out of a powerbomb attempt land on an elbow strike. She hits the ropes but runs into a shoulder block by Winsler, who makes the tag to Nightingale. Will sends Sky to the opposite corner for a series of strikes. She then takes her down with a lariat for a near fall tag made to Monet as Amina tags in as well, with the CEO taking Amina down before the Queen fights back with a swinging full Nelson followed by the chocolate kisses before bringing her to the corner for a tag to Windsor. She takes Monet to the mat, but a sharpshooter attempt is blocked, allowing the CEO to take control for a tag to Sky as we head to a mid-match commercial break and stuff. When the show returns, we see Declan and Willow are the legal women in the match, and Will takes a toxic spider down with a missile dropkick. The match quickly breaks down with all 6 women getting involved, and it all leads to a pair of corner splashes and a cannonball, taking the CEO and her pals for the night down hard. Amina gets a tag and takes Declan down for a 2 count as she sees Julia up on the apron. Takes Hard down with a headbutt. We see Monet get the tag, but the Queen takes her down at Hard before tagging in Windsor, who gets the CEO down for a near fall. A sharpshooter is applied now, and Mercedes is struggling to get the ropes just as Sky reaches over for a tag. Blue goes off, but gets taken out by Amina, only for Decla to take the Queen down. Windsor gets Blue in the sharpshooter for the win. So winners are Alex Windsor, Queen Amina, Will Nightingale. Alright. Once the match wraps up, our attention is drawn to Athena and Tony Storm finding it out on the balcony, and they take that elsewhere as we see the ring clear of everyone but Windsor and Monet, with the champ going after one of her challengers for Forbidden Door. The fight between Athena and Tony Storm makes its way to ringside with the forever champion on the upper hand, only for Storm to fight back from the ropes. Windsor forces Mercedes out of the ring before Tony issues a challenge for herself, and Windsor take on Monet and Athena next week in Glasgow. Alright, backstage, Ospreay was talking backstage and stuff, and announced, for their match and stuff. Alright, so next match coming up is Al Copeland versus Big Stoke. Alright, from there we head back and stuff. So, alright. Using his security, throws in again. So he tries, but Code takes him down with ease. Stoke goes for another shoulder tackle, but it doesn't even phase Copeland. Hathaway tries to get on Cope's good side, but gets walloped, sending Stokely to the outside before grabbing a microphone for an informal poll from the crowd. He asks one guy what he thinks of Stokely. We are reminded of what Stoke said last week about him being short ball and getting no hopes. Cope then asks someone in the crowd what Stoke's chances are, and gets is that a serious question for response? Cope brings Stoke back in the ring as FTR comes to the ramp, but they offer no help as Cope lands a spear. He asks FTR if they're just going to leave him, and eventually they go after Cope, which means the restraining order is null and void. Cope finally gets some revenge as he goes after FTR before Stokely gets him in the face with some powder. The ref calls for the bell. So winner by disqualification, Adam Copeland. Once the match wraps up, we see FTR look for a spike pile driver on the rated R superstar, but Christian Cage comes out with a spike of his own on the barbed wire board that Copeland is usually carrying around. He runs down and chases off FTR. Nick Wayne comes to the ring with a chair. He goes to swing, but is fended off by Spike swing from Christian, which forces Wayne to regroup with his mom and Kip Saban on the outside as we see Cage and Cope stare at each other down as an enormously loud hug it out chant spreads throughout the building. Cope has a chair in his hand as Cage offers Spike to him, and Cope drops the chair to accept before dropping that as the man who once considered each other brothers and breaks to a pop from the crowd. It doesn't last long as Cage leaves the ring quickly after we then hear Cope's music and stuff. And after that, there was a veiled signal thing for Hook coming back. Alright, next match coming up is All-Star 8-Man Tag. Hiro Takashi Hashi, Hologram, Brody King, and Tomohiro Ishii versus Kyle Fletcher, Josh Alexander, the Young Bucks. Now it's time, so everybody's in the ring out next, so I'm gonna get a. Well, that said, I just do is well, so on the ring call. Alright, Takashi and Fletcher start the match off for respective teams and stuff. And early goings, it is Fletcher who gets the upper hand before chaos and sways, leading to the match spilling to the outside of the ring. The Bucks take out Brody King, but they and the Don Callis duo get with a hit dive by Hologram. Aldana shows Shigeru and the match card break as the action continues. When we return, we see Hologram landing a reverse Rana on Nick before stopping and intercepting Kyle Fletcher tag made on to Takahashi, who fends off the attack of the Bucks and the family to land a flurry of offense. Running kick on Fletcher for a cover and 2 count. Alexander tries to intercept him on the turnbuckle but is caught up, but this gives an opening as Josh and Fletcher quickly trade tags, leading to a tombstone pile driver, but this only gives Kyle a near fall as Takashi kicks out. Imuro builds up speeds on the ropes to land a big lariat on the Pro Star before things break down. Once the tag made to Alexander after the Bucks intervene and Josh hits a elbow strike only to get jogged with a flatliner by Takashi, pin to broken up by Fletcher. As this is happening, we see Tomorrow come in for Fletcher to send him out of the ring just as Brody comes back to send the Pro Star out to the floor. Hologram sends Matt down as well before hitting a rope walk for a dive onto the pile outside. Back in the ring, Hummer escapes as C4 to drop Alexander with a time bomb for the win. So winners are Himuro Takahashi, Hologram, Brody King, and Tomohiro Ishii. Then we have a little promo segment coming up. Then always comments on this match. Forbidden Door, Swerve says is his top priority, even as folks might be worried about him needing to slow down. He is quickly interrupted by the reigning AEW Unified Champion, who starts stricken down on the ramp before taking the microphone to tell him that with that knee he has no chance. He may as well give up now. Swerve simply replies by asking whose house, Gammering Swerve's house, shouts the crowd. As you might expect, Okada then says bitch, only for Swerve to immediately shove him off the ramp before security rushes on to stop a fight from breaking out. The two are kept apart as they jaw at each other off the microphone as the brief action segment continues and stuff. Alright. The Death Riders are walking around and stuff. Then they see the Death Riders. Then Moxley closes the door and stuff. Alright, Tony Schiavone has a big announcement and stuff with some other matches with Forbidden Door. So yeah, so it'll be Christian Cage and Al Copeland versus Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian. Then Lights Out is a steel cage match is official with the Golden Lovers and join all that stuff. Yeah. And with Death Riders. So, yeah. Anyways, main event coming up. The Ops, Samoa Joe, Kishori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus LFI, Rouge Dragisco, and the Beast Mortals. Main event time. Mess up. Mortals and Hobbs start off their respective teams. We see Hobbs settle into the early offensive lead before the Beast fights back for a tag to Dresco made Lando. We see Garrett's the mid-match commercial break. As action continues and stuff, when the show returns, we see Mortals has taken control of the match as he gets a near fall on Shibata tag made to Rouge, who's then more after before Rouge turns it around for a bit. Shibata backs back to his feet as they trade strikes once more. From there, we see both men are down before Mortals and Hobbs get the tag in. With the tag with Joe catching Driscoll on the springboard attack to lock in the Coena clutch. He cranks back on it. Meanwhile, Roos and Mortals are kept at bay by the other members of the Ops. Driscoll eventually goes out. The Ops pick up the win. So winners are the Ops. All right. Once the main event of the evening was we go backstage in the parking lot area before we see AEW World Champion Heyman Page. He asks about the match against MJF, but Challenger blindsides him for a sneak attack. MJF slams the Heyman's head against the hood of a nearby car, asking Page if he remembers when MJF said he'd break him and saying he ain't seen nothing yet. MJF walks off, leaving Heyman laid out. Yeah, it was kind of funny because of Copeland and Stokely and all that stuff. So yeah, it was okay and stuff before way before for Bandara for next weekend and stuff coming all that stuff. So yeah. Anyways, that was this first video. Hope you like it. Now later stuff. So let's subscribe, hit the button, leave a comment. If you guys will leave a comment stuff, I'm carry guys. And that was it. I'll see you guys Friday night for Friday night SmackDown. All right, later's.